They say some stories are too dark to be true. Stories you hear as a child and dismiss as village folklore. Stories you laugh about, argue about, or wave away with a simple sentence. That kind of thing doesn't happen anymore. But sometimes, real life walks into those old stories and reminds us that evil never really left. Tonight's story is not breaking news. It is not told in a hurry. It is not meant to shock you for a few seconds and be forgotten. This is a crime documentary. A slow walk into a place where fear lived quietly. A story of power, deception, blood, and the moment an entire community realized they had been living beside a monster. This is the story of Levi Onyeka Obieze, known by many as Ezeani. And this is the story of the house with pits. In Isagu community in Enugu State, there was a man people spoke about in hushed tones. Some called him a healer, some called him a spiritualist, others simply called him the man that can fix things. Levi Onyeka Obieze did not look like a criminal. He did not hide in the shadows. He attended ceremonies. He sprayed money at events. He smiled for cameras. People brought his cars for blessings, land documents, businesses. Some even brought their newborn babies. And in return, he promised protection, progress, and favor. To many, he was Ezeani, the mouthpiece of the gods. To the youths, he was opportunity. He ran a group known as White Club Kingdom for Progress. The name sounded clean, organized, almost noble. Young men were told this was a brotherhood, a pathway to wealth, a shortcut to success. To join, you paid. To leave, you paid even more. But no one asked the important question: progress at what cost? The White Club Kingdom for Progress was not advertised openly. You were invited. Meetings were selective. Promises were vague. Members were told your life will change, but the details were always postponed. Animals were shown in public sacrifices, goats, chickens. It looked traditional, normal, acceptable. But behind closed doors, something else was happening. Members who wanted out were warned. To leave, you must pay. Money, livestock, goods. Some couldn't afford it, and that was when they realized this was not a club, it was a trap. On May 26, 2025, a 13-year-old girl named Ukamaka Okoronk left home with her father. It was an ordinary day. Farm work, sun overhead, no fear, no suspicion. On their way back, they met two men on a motorcycle. They smiled, spoke calmly. They said their bike had developed a fault and asked for help. They asked Ukamaka's father, Mr. Peter Okoronk, for his cutlass, claiming they needed it to fix the bike. A small request, a normal act of kindness. He handed it over. That moment changed everything. Without warning, the men grabbed Ukamaka. She screamed. Her father shouted. Before anyone could react, the motorcycle sped away. And just like that, Ukamaka disappeared. Mr. Okoronk did not go home. He ran, he shouted, he raised alarm. Vigilantes, neighbors, youth groups. The community moved fast. Everyone knew one thing: if they waited, she might not come back alive. The search led them to an uncompleted building, a building many people had seen before but never questioned. The building belonged to Ezeani. Inside the uncompleted building, silence hung heavy. Then someone heard it, a faint sound, a cry, a child's voice coming from underground. They dug, they broke concrete, and there she was, Ukamaka, alive, terrified. She had been thrown into a pit, covered, left to die. Her rescue saved her life, but it also opened a door no one was ready for. The vigilantes kept digging, one pit, then another. Bodies, some decomposed, some recent, men, women. One was a pregnant woman, her stomach still visible. These were not accidents, these were not rumors, this was a burial ground. One of the victims was Azichi Mobi Nwanko, a secondary school student. On May 21, 2025, he wrote his exams. He never made it home. 5 days later, the truth surfaced. Another victim was Joy Miracle, a single mother, a food vendor. People remembered her smile, her food, her struggle. Now, only silence. Anger replaced fear. Shrines were destroyed, cars were burnt, people cried, people shouted. Some took the law into their own hands. And Ezeani? He was gone. Ezeani fled Enugu, moved quietly by road. His plan was simple: disappear. But on May 28, 2025, at a checkpoint along Badagry Semi Road, a Nigerian immigration officer named Prince Oji Uguchukwu saw him, a face he recognized from viral videos. Ezeani offered money, 10 million naira, phones, anything. The officer refused, and that refusal ended the run. Even in handcuffs, Ezeani denied everything. He blamed politics, kingship disputes. He claimed the bodies were planted, but the pits spoke louder than words. The government demolished his buildings. Ukamaka was taken for rehabilitation. She was awarded a scholarship. But justice takes time. This story is not about tradition. It is not about spirituality. It is about greed, deception, and the danger of shortcuts. Evil does not always knock loudly. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it sprays money. Sometimes it calls itself progress. If you learned something from this story, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think justice will truly be served? Subscribe for more crime documentaries. Share this story, because silence helps monsters survive.